Hello everyone and welcome to the second part of my beginner tutorial series. Today we're going to talk about propulsion systems because the first step to building a functional craft is to make it mobile. The easiest way to achieve any kind of movement is to build a fortress, because a fortress has these fortress turbines which require energy. So let's just get ourselves a fuel engine, a big one, because why not? And yeah, now we need material as well, so let's get ourselves a fuel storage or fuel tank. Let's slam it on there, and now yeah, this should be already working. One final step is needed because this currently does not have, it does have resources, but if we slap a share on there and go on it, we see in the bottom right corner that on this craft indeed there are no materials, so we can press F5 in this designer mode, in this basic designer, this is in the sandbox environment, to give this craft infinite resources. So now we have a functional engine, and this fortress turbine is holding us up in the air. And as you can see, this thing is just completely stable, right? I can like add weight to it on one side and it won't fall over. So this is what a fortress is about. To a fortress, no forces apply at all. The only crucial thing about the fortress is that it needs more and more energy as far as it is away from altitude 0. So right now, you can see that on the right, this fortress is at altitude 75. And if I get myself under control, a fortress controller, I can decrease the altitude by pressing L. You see that in the top left corner. So now I'm pressing L and altitude decreases, and so the green particles should decrease as well, because this turbine has less and less work to do. As you can see, the green particles slowly fade away. Yeah. And now it doesn't require any energy at all, nearly at least. Okay, and if you want a test platform, so something that's stable, which doesn't look very nice, it's just a stable platform where you can, like for example, test weapons on. You want a fortress, and this is what I'm using as well. I've got here. Stole this design from a friend, but I've got the design named building platform, and it's just a fortress with more additional fortress turbines and some internals, so like engines and batteries and AI systems to provide basic functionality. Yeah, and it's nice to experiment on a stable platform like that. So this is if you don't want to mess around with propulsion. But now we come to the crucial part. How the propulsion systems work in this game. And this is key to any craft. If you want to build something that moves in a stable way, isn't like pitching and rolling all the time, you have to know how to do that. So, first of all, we're gonna get ourselves an engine, because nearly all propulsion systems require engine power. So let's get that. Let's just get a large, simple injector engine, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, this looks fine to me. And again, let's get ourselves a chair. And let's start building on that. And because, in my opinion, drones and flying objects are actually easier than ships, let's build a drone. Because drones are fun. If you have drones, you can bomb your enemies into oblivion. So let's do that. Let's get ourselves a cross shape first. But maybe, yeah, let's build a little platform for this engine. Okay, so a cross shape. And let's slam some jet engines on there. You find them in the air section. Right here, a jet engine. See, there is this jet engine and this jet engine, which just has different different designs. They have both the same functionality. Those are just bigger versions of them. So let's get this one and just stuff it on here, under there, and under here, and right here. And let's have a look at those components. In general, if you're looking at any component, like in build mode or outside of build mode, you can press Q on them to get into the user interface, or into the settings. And maybe want to make this a little bigger. And this looks very complicated, but it really isn't. Let me explain you how this works. So, when you're controlling a craft, or when the AI is controlling a craft, it gives commands, right? For example, the AI tells your craft to pitch up. And this jet engine in particular would respond to that. So if the AI says, please pitch up with 80% of your maximum thrust output, this jet engine will produce 80% of its maximum thrust output, because the pitch setting is set to 1. If this would be 0.5, and the AI or the player would say 80% pitch up, please, this jet engine would only respond with 40%, because it multiplies the 80% by the 50%. So 0.8 times 0.5, this is 0.4, so 40%. This is how thrusters and propellers and rotors and basically everything responds to the demand. So let's check how our thrusters are set up right now, because as it appears, this thruster has a default setting, right? I place it down and it just has a default configuration. This is a pitch up thruster. Okay, let's see. There's the front. And pitching up means the front moves up and the rear goes down. So this thruster right here isn't doing any of that, right? This thruster right here is actually causing us to roll clockwise, if I'm looking into the front direction. So this is a roll right thruster. So you have to reset that and use roll right equals 1. And let's check the other side. This thruster right here is also set to pitch up, which is wrong. This is a roll left thruster, because it rotates us counterclockwise. Let's check the back thruster. Yeah, this is pitch down, right? It pushes our rear up and our front down. So this is pitch down. Let's check if this thruster up here is a pitch up thruster then. Yes, it is. So this is also configured correct. So if we get ourselves a vehicle controller and we set it to air mode by pressing Q on it, and I now press J, this jet engine activates, because J is pitching up and U is pitching down. So if I press U, the back thruster engages. Let's check for roll. So roll is K and H. H and K. So this works, right? They respond to the demand of the player control. And this is basically already it. Let me now do an additional thing, because this is a drone. It doesn't only want to stabilize, it does also want to gain altitude. So we have to enable this checkbox, and basically always do that. Those checkboxes right here just show more options, and that's it. So you can basically enable all of them. It becomes a bit messy and you won't need all of that stuff. So yeah, but you're not breaking anything by clicking them. So you can just look what options are available. Right now we only need strafe and hover, and we have to set hover to 1 And we have to do that in all of those thrusters, because they're all pointing down. If they would point upwards, hover should be -1 and not +1. I can also do that, by the way. Let me just put one thruster down, like right above the center of mass right here. And I will only set this to hover down, because why not? So, and this craft now is already functional. And you could have recognized that since we had thrusters which have this setting, yes, since we enabled this strafe and hover setting, we have more options in the vehicle controller, because the game noticed, oh, this craft is actually meant to use those channels. So now we have those arrow keys marked in the upper left corner, and if I now press the up arrow, all thrusters produce 100% thrust, because they all want to push me up. And if I now unfreeze the craft while holding the up arrow, I could in theory already control this craft, but let me tell you, it's not stabilized at all right now. But as you can see, it's kind of working. So if I'm now pressing J, I could, what's J and U, right? I could now already kind of like stabilize that, and it's difficult, but I could do that. And in order to make the AI or a computer system stabilize this craft by default, I'm gonna teach you how to use PIDs, because they are key to making stuff stable. And you find them in the control section, because they control stuff, right? The PID. And if you're familiar with mathematics, this will be way easier to understand, but we can just work around that, no problem. So let's get 3 PIDs, because we have roll, pitch, and altitude control. Let me place them like so, whatever. Let's configure the first PID. As an input, we want, for example, roll. As an output, we want roll. Yeah, just there are a lot of different stuff you can control, like pitch or air pumps or whatever. Just use roll in both settings, roll and roll. And this will now already try to control our roll. So let's try to make this, yeah, there you can see it. I'm not doing anything right now. The AI is currently trying to control roll, and it's not actually AI, the PID is trying to control roll. So let's do the same with the second PID. We could just configure it from the very beginning again, or we press Ctrl C and Ctrl V to copy the settings. And now we just select pitch and pitch. And now it's controlling pitch and roll already. Yeah, if we now get the third PID and we set this to altitude above mean sea level and propulsion vertical, this craft is now already functional, but one final step ahead. We have to enable the set point and set the altitude should be achieved to, for example, 100. And there we go. This craft is now fully functional. It's currently not stabilizing because it wants to go down on 100%, and this is the last thing you have to understand. Currently it wants to roll at 100%, but it wants to go down. So those counter out each other. This says 100% thrust, and this says 100% thrust, and this says minus 100% thrust. So what you want to do, we want to only set the up channel to 0.2 or something, at least something below 100%, to leave some room for this thruster to actually do something, right? Because yeah, it wants to change altitude so drastically. And now this craft is fully stabilized. So this is how propulsion channels work. just take this craft as an example, and in the next tutorial I'm gonna explain how to use PIDs properly, so this is more stabilized. Right now, just try to understand the concept of the propulsion channels, and there's also propulsion channels, and how propulsion systems respond. Let me show you another example, but first let's save this craft. Tutorials, propulsion example 1. Let's get ourselves a new craft, maybe a boat, and let me show you another example of how to use propulsion channels correctly. Let's get ourselves this wooden hull, and I'm just gonna tell you some stuff along the way. Let's put an air pump in there to make it float better, and of course we need the fuel engine. Fuel engines. Let's get a small one like this one again. And yeah, then we need some propellers. For example, this one. And this is currently set to forward and to main positive, which means something similar, which is correct. This will push us forward. And now let's add some propellers for steering as well. So let's add some propellers on the side. And this will rotate us in this orientation counterclockwise. So this is your left. It's already configured correct. And this will rotate us clockwise, which is your right. So this is already configured correct. Let's get ourselves a chair and a vehicle controller. Let's drop this thing. And yeah, this should now already work. Maybe we need to add some lead to its bottom to make it sink deeper, but could be just fine. So if I'm now pressing H and K, you see how those propellers are turning, and they are making me rotate. And this is how propulsion channels work. If I now press U to move forward, we're not deep enough in the water, but yeah, you see that the back propeller engages. If I now, by whatever reason, put the forward control in here as well, this will also move when it's in the water. If it isn't, so let me just add a little bit of lead back here. Not the forward, we need forward is for eye control, this is for play control, main. So now you see this propeller turns as well when it's in the water, because our main drive is currently at 100%. You can see that in the on the stats on the right as well, right? It says main drive right here, and this is what you control with U and J. I can like change that, right? This is basically the speed we want to go at. Yeah, this is the main drive, so we don't need forward right here, we need the main drive. I could configure this in any way, right? But yeah, this is a weird setting for this orientation of this thruster, so remove that. So this is how you use propulsion channels, and become used to check that, and become used to not use the presets, because you often want to have multiple settings in one and the same propeller and a propulsion block, and this only the presets only have one setting. Yeah, and this is confusing and this is wrong. So don't do that. Just configure them by yourself. And this is it for this tutorial. Next coming up are PID systems and how to make this craft completely stable in the air as if it would be a fortress. See you there, and thanks for watching. Bye.